One, business is simple. But number two, it's not easy. I run a software company and we have a couple hundred business owners that are utilizing our tools. And I always get kind of the same questions, right? They have the right offer. They're pretty good at sales. They have some lead magnets, some landing pages. And they always ask me, like, hey, if I do this, will I get a client? And my response is always the same. Business is simple, but it's not easy. Logically, if we broke down business, all it is that you need to identify a problem. You need to find people with the problem. You need to convince them that spending their money is worth solving that problem. You need to solve the problem and keep them happy. And also, like any of my other videos or the actual banner on my YouTube channel, it's traffic, conversion, delivery, and retention. That's all it is. But it's not easy. And I wanted to put together this video to really break down the sheer amount of quantity that you have to do in order to win. Because I hear it way too much. So I wanted to put this video together to really showcase that, to really hone in on the fact that yes, it's a simple process. It's not rocket science, but it's very, very hard. Because if this was an easy route to take, then we'd all be rich, but we're not. And if you look at it logically, 90% of startups fail within their first year. And that's a crazy number. And it's not because their ideas just sucked. It's because of the things that people don't realize when they're getting into business. And that's what I want to showcase here. I'm not trying to steer you away from building a business. It's actually the opposite. I just want you to understand the game that you have decided to play. Otherwise, you're going to quit at the first chance of adversity. Most people quit because they don't think that there actually is going to be a problem. Well, here's the news. Here's the massive disclaimer for this. There's always going to be a problem. It's not an easy path. When you decide to become an entrepreneur, you are choosing literally the hardest path in the world to become successful. The hardest path. So I want to break this down like actual operators, right? If you've watched our videos, if you stay tuned to this channel, you know that I break things down like an operator. So let's break down this math, right? Let's say, and just play devil's advocate with me for a second, right? Let's say you're willing to send 200 messages a day, right? And these numbers are based on if it's SMS or social media DMs. Emails are a little bit lower numbers, but we're focusing on, let's say you wanted to send 200 DMs or 200 text messages per day. This is the math. The industry average response rate is about 45%, right? So out of 200 messages, 45% may respond. The average click rate on cold traffic is 20%. So out of 200 messages, only 40 people are even going to click on what you send them, right? And if you do this in a strategic way, more than likely you're sending them like a free gift, a lead magnet. You're probably not going straight to book a call, right? Especially if this is cold traffic or stuff like that. And most people, at least in my experience, don't have 200 per day warm audience that'll listen to them, right? So if the industry average opt-in rate for SMS and landing, so if I send you a text with a landing page, is 1.8 to 3.2%. 1.8 to 3.2%. And these numbers are based on industry averages, meaning most of these numbers come from people that already have a proven offer, already have landing pages that somewhat convert, already have their messaging dialed in, already have their target audience. That's what industry average is. It's not taking the average of people that suck and have just started a business and don't know anything. This is like real industry averages for small business owners. And you can Google all these numbers. I just Googled them, right? So let me put this back in perspective. If you send 200 messages per day and 20% click, you have 40 people that land on your page. And let's say you get the high end of the opt-in, right? You get a full 3% of people that hit your page opt in. That means you get 1 to 2 leads per day, right? And how I'm doing this math, right? When you're reaching out to cold, like you find somebody on social media and you shoot them a DM, they're cold, right? They don't know a lot about you. They don't know who you are, what you offer. That's cold, right? And then warm is when they know a little bit about you. They've opted in, they've done a lead magnet. So the goal with cold outreach is to get them to warm up, right? Opting into something, right? So that's the math I'm going through right here. So you'll get 1 to 2 leads per day. Now, if you got 2 leads per day, to get to 100 leads, you would need to keep at this for 50 days straight. 200 messages every single day for 50 days nonstop to get 100 leads. And these are warm leads, right? And then the industry average to book a call on warm audience. So these are people that have opted in, right? These are people that kind of know who you are, know a little bit about your offering, kind of what the price point is, but not really. Those are warm people, right? And depending on the script and the offer, the average book a call is 10 to 30%, right? And I know this video is getting a little bit of the statistics and the math, but I hope you guys are, it's about a click, right? 10 to 30%. So if you sent 200 messages a day every single day for 50 days straight and got 100 warm leads, 10 to 30% are actually going to book a call with you. So out of the 100 leads, 10 to 30 will book a call with you. And let's say you are incredible at getting warm leads to book a call with you, right? Maybe you've had past experience as a setter or something like that. Let's say you're amazing at doing it and you get the full 30%. So you get 30 people out of the 100 to book a call with you. The average close rate on a Zoom call, right? I'm not talking phone calls. Phone calls are a little bit lower. But if you hop on a live Zoom with them, the average close rate is about 20%, right? And you can get higher and lower on all of these numbers, but this is industry average because I want something to click towards the end of this video. So the average close rate is 20%. That means you would get 6 new clients if all of these benchmarks that I listed were hit. And you would get 2 clients if you were average at getting appointments booked. If you were just average at getting people to book appointments, you would get 2 new clients. So let's break this down, right? If you sent 200 messages every single day for 50 days straight, that would be 10,000 messages that you have sent to get 2 to 6 clients. 10,000 messages for 2 to 6 clients. Because if we break it down further, out of this 10 grand, right? 10,000 messages, right? 2,000 would go to the landing page, right? 2,000 would hit your actual page. You'd get about 50 to 100 opting in. And I'm actually on my laptop, so the drawing is not as good as some of the other videos where I do it on my iPad, but just bear with me. 100 people would opt in. 10 to 30 would book a call, and 2 to 6 would be closed. So I hope you're understanding, yes, this is a simple process. Business is not rocket science. But what most people get completely wrong is the sheer amount of quantity that you have to put in to get any sort of results at all. Most people watching this video are not willing to send 10,000 messages for 2 to 6 clients. Most people on here are not. Simple as that. Most people wouldn't stay consistent enough to even send 200 messages a day. Most won't. And that's where you see the 90% of startups fail within their first year. And it's not because their idea sucked. It's because they were unaware of the sheer amount of quantity that had to be put in order to get a result. And let's say that you're selling a $1,000 product, right? That means you would send 10,000 messages to make 2 to 6 grand. That's below what most people make minimum wage. Well, maybe not minimum wage, but average salary is about 45,000 at least in the United States. It's about 2 to 3 grand a month. So you would send 10,000 messages per day to make the average salary in the United States. Do you understand what's happening in this game? Because this is where most people get wrong. Most people get into business wanting to become ultra successful within the first couple months. Well, disclaimer, it won't happen that way. Not if you want to build something long term. If you want to go off and scam people and sell overpriced courses and do all of this stuff, maybe you can make money faster. But there is literally no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. You may be able to make money, but it's not going to last. Like if you go off and sell $25,000 courses that you filmed in your parents' basement, it's probably not a long lasting business, right? But if you want to build something that lasts for the long term, you have to be willing to put in the quantity that it takes. Simple as that. That's why I titled this video, Business is Simple. It's not rocket science. You don't have to learn all of these different things, but it's not easy. Because the math that I showed you here with what I was breaking down is the easiest form of lead generation, sending messages. It's the easiest way to get leads is just sending a message because you can control the inputs and outputs. I'm not even talking about going down the route of spending thousands of dollars every single month to run ads. I'm not going down the route of writing hundreds of blogs to get SEO traffic. Like this is for the easiest outreach method to get clients in the world, sending messages. And those are the numbers, 10,000 messages, 200 a day for 50 days straight to get 2 to 6 clients. So back to the beginning of this video. I wanted you to realize 2 things. One, business is simple. I hope you realize now that it really doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Traffic, conversion, retention, or delivery and retention. That's it. That's it. But it's not easy because each one of those categories has so much input that most people are not willing to do that you will fall off within the first year. And then hopefully, if you make it past the first year, you almost tend to forget that you still have to do it. And that's why when you read about entrepreneurs and their growth, you read about people like Bezos and all these things that are like these mega entrepreneurs. They all start at the same thing. They were willing to take 3 to 5 years with 80-hour work weeks to make the average salary in the United States before they saw the exponential curve and made a ton of money. But it's 3 to 5 years. It's 3 to 5 years of dedication and grind and absolute just quantity of input. Because that's the only way you get better. And that's the only way that you ever see results is quantity of inputs. Too many people are focused on the outputs. I want to make 10 grand a month. I want to make $100,000. I want to make $1 million a year. Awesome. You should strive for those goals. But don't think that I'm going to go send 10 messages a day and you're going to be a millionaire. You're not. The math doesn't work like that. Those are industry averages across hundreds of years of business. And you think sending 5 to 10 messages a day is going to make you rich. It's not. And like I said in the beginning as well, I'm not here to push you away from being an entrepreneur. I'm doing the opposite. I want you to understand the game that you just decided to play because once you understand that game, you're willing to endure hardships. You're willing to go through all the adversity that you will face. You will face it. So if you understand this going in, now you are making an educated decision and you're more than likely going to push through that. And that's the key. You're playing an infinite game. So stop thinking that in 2 days you're going to be rich. It's an infinite game. And that's why I thought it'd be funny. I wore my lonely university little sweatshirt because you always hear like that cliche phrase of like, oh, it's lonely at the top. Well, yes and no, right? Like you can build a business and still have friends. I'm not saying that, but to send 10,000 messages or to send 200 a day, do you think you can be out just hanging out with friends all the time? No. Like the reason it's lonely or it's a lonely ride isn't because it just takes you away from everything. It's simply because to actually do the amount of quantity required to be successful in business, you just don't have time to do anything else. So go back and watch this whole video a couple times. It's one of my shortest streams. It's like 15 minutes long so far. But go back and really understand what I just broke down, the math that I went through, the quantity that it takes, and the road that you're making this decision to go on because we want you to win. I want you to win. But you have to understand the quantity that it takes, and you have to be able to endure the hardships. Just like I said in the beginning and in the title, business is simple. It really is, but it is not easy.